your lead.
Okay. Just as for information, we do have waters in the tent, so if anyone needs to cool off or grab a water, please do so. We are here today. Again, I'm Abbie Kamin. I am the council member of this district. I believe it is important for us to stand together as elected officials and community organizations. So I want to take a moment to thank everyone who is joining us today. And there's a long list I'm about to read, but I think the list conveys how important this issue is to so many in the community. Of course, I'm joined by Commissioner Rodney Ellis. We're in his precinct, and Commissioner Briones, Councilmember Mario Castillo, Representative Jean Wu, County Attorney Christian Menifee, Representative John Rosenthal, Representative Lauren Ashley Simmons, Representative Christina Morales. We're joined by State Senator Molly Cook. We have Controller Chris Hollins, our former Mayor Anise Parker. Congresswoman Fletcher is in D.C. fighting for us, but she sends her best, as does Representative Ann Johnson. We also have staff from Commissioner Garcia's office and on City Council staff from Mayor Pro Tem Castex Tatum. And I also want to recognize we have a lot of community leaders with us today as well. We have our Neartown Montrose Super Neighborhood President, Jack, is with us. And I see Greg, our former president as well. Equality Texas's CEO, Brad Pritchett, our Greater Houston LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce President and CEO, Tammy Wallace, Montrose Grace Place, Tony's Place, our Houston LGBTQ Political Caucus President, Austin Ruiz. We have our Greater Heights Super Neighborhood Leadership and our 4th Ward Super Neighborhood Leadership. Montrose Center, North Montrose Civic Association, Lloyd is here. And 4th Ward, I already recognized 4th Ward. Is there anybody that I missed? I don't believe so. So the purpose of today is that I wanted to make sure that the community heard from those of us who are here today, because we have apparently entered the portion of the program where the state of Texas is now worried about paint. We are in the heart of District C's Montrose neighborhood, a historic neighborhood where for so many, it was safe to be gay before you could be. And this is the heartbeat of our LGBTQIA plus community in Houston. Behind me, in 2016, a young man named Alex Hill was struck and killed by a car at this very intersection. And as a tribute to him, and to make the crosswalk safer, private donors, not taxpayer dollars, funded the first ever rainbow crosswalk in Texas. Its purpose was for safety and for visibility. Visibility for pedestrians and visibility for our LGBTQIA plus community. A few weeks ago, there was a city rehabilitation project that as it neared completion, I worked with residents, organizations, the city and Metro to ensure that the crosswalk was put back the way it was before construction. It is a simple restoration. Days later, Governor Abbott issued a directive to withhold all TxDOT funding from cities that do not remove, and I quote, decorative or politically ideological art from streets, hiding behind a preposterous pretense that this is for safety. No, the crosswalk was put here for safety. Within hours of the governor's order, however, Metro announced that the rainbow would be removed despite the fact that bright colors make crosswalks safer. So let me be clear, as the council member for this district, Greg Abbott has no legal basis to interfere with the people of Houston and Harris County. And I challenge the premise that the governor has the authority to stop all funding to cities that don't comply with this bigoted directive. Right. So the attorney in me, and we have a lot of attorneys standing up here right now, I want to go on and on about how this is not content neutral as applied, and it's therefore unconstitutional, that the state cannot legally define what is or is not political ideology, but I really do want to get to the heart of what brings us here today. This is about content control. It's big government overreach at its worst, and that is not the spirit of freedom we celebrate here in Texas. The governor is wasting time obsessing about paint colors while Texans are facing increasing grocery prices, skyrocketing home insurance rates, and over 1 million Texans are about to lose their health care coverage. Here in Houston, we are still at risk of flooding, including right here in Montrose. We are at risk of extreme weather, while other Texas cities are facing historic droughts. We have real problems, and they deserve real leadership, not wannabe Trumps trampling on the rights of our communities. This is a hateful, bigoted stunt, but a stunt that has a serious cost if we as Houstonians allow attacks on our cities to go unchecked. If we roll over, it will not stop here. And the question I ask us all is, what will they come for next? We are the most diverse city in our nation, and Houston should not cower to bullies. The city has a clear choice. We can stand with the people of Houston, or we can bend the knee to Abbott and Trump. And Abbott's directive, I want to make sure this is clear for the public, is not just about targeting rainbows. So now is the city going to remove murals celebrating minority communities? Right. Commissioner Ellis, we have Black Lives Matter representation in front of our schools. Are we going to spend city resources to remove painted paw prints leading up to the road on Bark that former Mayor Anise Parker actually worked on? We have beautification projects throughout our city, murals that reflect the diversity of our city. And we have it all because in Houston, we celebrate and welcome all. So I call on our residents and local businesses to show your pride and our flags. Stand with our LGBTQIA plus community, stand with our immigrant community, stand with our Black community, stand with our Houston community. And I am working with colleagues, including Councilmember Castillo, who you'll hear from in a moment. I'm working with our great county commissioners. I'm speaking with attorneys, with electeds in other Texas cities. We are working with local organizations and civic groups on the ground here in our district. And again, many of them are here today. But we should be joining other cities. We should be applying for safety exceptions for our painted crosswalks. We should be going bigger and better when they try to come for what makes Houston, Houston. And I want to make sure residents know that for all of us here today, we are with you. And if you are a member of the LGBTQI plus community, we see you, we will fight for and with you. And this isn't just about a pride flag, although I want to be clear that that alone is a just and worthy cause. This is about our American flag. This is about whether Texans get to have a say in their own communities. And I'm pleased to bring up someone that continues to fight for all of our communities, Commissioner Ellis.
Thank you, Councilmember Abbie Kamin. You have said everything I wanted to say, and I know the people standing behind me in this hot sun are hoping I choose not to say it again. So I won't read my comments. I want to first thank all of you, particularly the community leaders, as well as elected officials, for coming out here. We are well aware that they are after the LGBTQIA community today, but we're well aware that other communities will be next. I want to apologize to you because you have to be the first one. But I want you to know we stand with you. We're going to fight this in every way we can. I know my colleagues have made calls as well. The county has 2 people on a Metro board. I've talked to both of them, and I know at least 3 of my colleagues have probably done so as well. I know the one standing here with me today, Commissioner Briones, has done that. If there's an angle for a legal challenge, I've talked to our great county attorney and his great team. If there is an angle, obviously it's the city that controls the Metro board, not us. But if there's an angle, go to court. And as the council member said, it's not just because it's this one today. We're sensitive to that. We know the history of this community. Going back to when I was in high school, I'll never forget all of those fights to pass the hate crimes bill, because it was fashionable to stick a board 2x4 out of the door, out of your car window, and brutalize people. That's what led to the state of Texas hate crimes bill that included sexual orientation, might I add, before they passed it on the federal level. But this attempt to go out and change our history is what it's about. I tell you the other thing that really strikes me, I wonder what prompted the governor to do it. Somebody on my team and my talking points, it said a tweet. Good God Almighty. What all of the problems that we have on the state level and in this country, who would be reacting to somebody in their pajamas angry in the middle of the night, just out there putting something on social media? This has to stop. I want to close on this. No matter what they do, how hard it is, what this struggle is like, I'm well aware of the history of my ancestors. And somehow, even when people thought there was no way, people made a way. If we lose the battle and we have to take this off the street, you put it on your house.
Right.
You go and put it on a yard sign. You roll down the street and stick it out your car window. Whatever angle they come up with, we have to find another one. This issue is important to all of us. And Abbie, I'm so glad that we all showed up. We care about it anyway, but you took the time to arrange this press conference and personally call people and beat us across the head and said, change whatever you have to do, because it's important to stand with this community today, because we all have to stand together to protect our rights. Thank you.
And look, Commissioner Ellis, thank you. For those, everyone knows, but it's important for me to say that the commissioner has been in these fights for decades, fighting for our civil rights and standing up to the state. Commissioner, you won't remember this, but in law school, I was in the courtroom listening to you testify against redistricting in DC. So thank you. He has funded beautiful artwork throughout our city, and we are grateful for you. And Commissioner Briones, as you come up, you have always stood proudly for our LGBTQIA plus community. Your conviction is the type of leadership that we need, and I really think it's important that you're here. It means a lot because, again, this issue doesn't just affect my district, your precinct, Commissioner. It affects all of Harris County. So, Commissioner Briones.
I too will be brief. Councilmember Kamin, thank you for bringing us together, to all the elected officials, the community leaders, and everybody who has been speaking out. Keep speaking out. They are trying to silence us, erase us, and as my colleagues have said, this is not just about attacking our LGBTQIA plus community, and we stand here as proud allies.
As a community where we have been targeted, where our pride has been intimidated, and here we're trying to fight against our visibility from being erased. And the people here today show that we are united as a community. We are united in preserving our ability to be comfortable in neighborhoods, to live in a city that is diverse and vast. And it's important because visibility saves lives. Being able to be your true authentic self in a community, at your coffee shop, with your friends, that is life-saving in our community. And so it's important that we figure out a way to stay the course and bounce back now and as we move forward. And there are options that the city's exploring on how to honor the community. But as Councilmember Kamin said, this is a time for all Houstonians to come together and show your support. That could be at your home, that could be at your business, that could be on the sidewalk in front of your house. But let's let all of Houston know that you are safe and accepted and welcome wherever you go throughout the city. And we can all do that by playing a small role in a big collective action. And that is what we should be looking at as we move forward. As anybody is out there asking, how can I help? How can I contribute? That's one way, and that's an important way. So I want to thank everybody that's been a part of this effort. We're going to continue to work together. We're going to continue to be united in this front because we may lose a crosswalk, but we will not go away as a community. We won't go back into the shadows. We will still be here, and this will still be the city we live in and love and call home. So thank you all so much.
And as I mentioned, we have a lot of state representatives here. I'm going to call up State Representative Jean Wu, and if the other representatives would like to join him at the front, Representative Wu.
Thank you so much. My name is Jean Wu. I'm the state rep out of Southwest Houston. I'm also the minority leader in the Texas House. And watching all this play out, it is staggering to me that Governor Abbott is so free to ignore the idea that the state is on fire right now. Whether you're in the cities and people are getting laid off left and right and people are about to lose their homes in addition to their jobs, or whether you're in the rural communities where the market has dropped out of agricultural products. Farmers with a record yield this year have nowhere to sell their products, have no one to harvest their goods. And now the state is on the edge of a major recession. It is coming. And our governor is ignoring it like he ignores all the problems. And instead, we're talking about this. Instead, we're talking about paint. Instead, the governor of one of the largest states in this nation, of the 9th largest economy in the world, as it's on the brink of collapse, is talking about one sidewalk, one intersection in one city, because he doesn't want to talk about the problems that he created, about all the things that's going wrong because of him, because of his blind support for Donald Trump. We're not talking about that. Instead, we're talking about an intersection paint. And today you heard people justify how this is for safety. They shouldn't have to justify it, because this is a community's pride, because this is what this community chose to represent and chose to be visible to the outside. They shouldn't have to justify that any more than Governor Abbott has to justify putting monuments of people who fought for slavery on the Texas grounds. No more than he has to justify naming buildings after white supremacists and bigots. He doesn't have to explain those things. Our community should not have to explain why we want to recognize and honor people who have suffered, people who have died, people who have fought for justice and liberty and for greater equality. We don't have to justify that. And we're asking all Texans, this is not a fight about LGBTQ. This is a fight that unfortunately fell into the laps of gay people. but this is a fight for all of us. But in a big group, they want you to be quiet. We're Texans. We're Americans. We're never quiet. The thing that you don't want us to do, the thing you don't want us to say, is the thing we're gonna do, is the thing we're gonna say because we're Texans. You don't get to tell us no. And I'm asking all people, join with us. If they block us here, then just like Commissioner Ellis said, we're gonna put pride flags and put pride rainbows everywhere, not because we're gay, but because they told us no.
Love it.
Love it. Next, we have Brad Pritchett. We have been working, as I said, with a lot of LGBTQ organizations. They have come together to provide incredible leadership. And on behalf of all of them, we have Brad Pritchett with Equality Texas.
Go. So my name is Brad Pritchett. I'm the interim CEO of Equality Texas. We're the state's largest LGBT. So these concerns about paint aren't about paint. They are about politicians who are afraid of a world that has grown beyond their ability to comprehend it. And that's a world where LGBTQ as part of the culture we exist in. Governor Abbott claims that removing rainbow crosswalks is about keeping Texans safe, but that rings hollow in the face of more than 250 mass shootings that have happened under his watch when he has done nothing meaningful to address gun violence in our state. Since he took office, the Texas legislature has tried to pass over 500 anti-LGBTQ+ bills. And Governor Abbott himself has signed multiple bills that attack children simply because those children are transgender. Abbott has weaponized state agencies against our families. He's pulled life-saving resources from public websites. He's empowered anti-LGBTQ activists, and he has threatened educators for simply teaching that we as a community exist. Now, when even rainbow paint becomes a target, it shows you just how afraid these politicians are of anything that symbolizes acceptance and equality. But the LGBTQ+ community has survived hostile governments before, and more than survived them, we have outlasted them. So when our leaders fear paint on the streets more than the act build communities, and when the government tries to erase us, we just show up bigger and more visible than ever before. And I just want to say this very clearly to everyone here, and if you're wondering, and every elected official, whether you support our community or not, LGBTQ+ Texans belong in this state, and we are not going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. And as I mentioned, we've had a lot of neighborhood organizations involved in this because while this is about the LGBTQI+ community, this is also about the Montrose community in the neighborhood. As I was pulling up, a gentleman named Amir drove by, asked what we were doing. I said, well, the governor's trying to pull up the paint. He said, that's ridiculous. Thank you for being out here. So I'm going to call up Jack Valinsky, president of our Neartown Montrose Super Neighborhood, to talk about what this means to the neighborhood and also how we've been working.
Got it, Jack.
I'm angry. I'm very, very angry. This is my community. This is our community. This is where the Pride Parade used to end when it was in Montrose. The end of the Pride Parade, where we went out to celebrate our diversity and who and what we are. But it's also the community of Montrose, how we work together. I had not envisioned becoming president of Neartown Montrose, but it was there. I was asked to do it. I'm glad to do it, but we're here building community for all of us who live here. We want this to be a better place. I live 5 blocks from here. This crossing is very important to me. It's important to all of us. It's also about safety. How do we cross the street to visit our businesses? How do we cross the street to do all types of things? This Sunday, we had families out here doing chalking on the sidewalk in unification of what this represents. This started out because somebody got killed because of safety, but it showed that we have a strong LGBT plus community. We wanted to continue. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Abbie, for your fight. You're fighting harder than I am. You're pushing me to fight harder, and we want to do more, and I want to thank everybody else. Commissioner Ellis, you've been a fantastic commissioner. Thank you for representing Montrose, and everybody else who's on council who supports us. I supported you and get elected, many of you all, and I'm happy to do that, and I will continue to do that until I'm in my rocking chair. So thank you, community, for being here. We will not be defeated. If we lose this, we will gain a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Next, it's my privilege to call up our county attorney, Christian Menefee, who has been fighting on the front lines on so many different things. County attorney, thank you.
Thank you very much to our Councilmember Abbie Kamin for setting us up today. Today, to me, is about bullies. When did politicians and leaders in our country become so dead set on being bullies? We have a president who is sending ICE agents to hospitals, to schools, to Home Depot parking lots, to deport people who are doing nothing more than trying to provide for their families. We have a Republican-led state legislator that session after session after session has targeted families with trans kids, despite the very small percentage of the population. Instead of fixing issues like flooding, like our economy, they're focused on trans kids. We have a governor who will do every single thing he can to ensure that black folks in this state have to walk around and see Confederate monuments, but people who exist in their own community when they come to take your lunch money, you got to kick them in the teeth. Every single time. And I'm so proud to be up here with a bunch of fighters who are not going to allow Greg Abbott to run roughshod over the rights of LGBTQ plus people, over Houstonians, and over every single person who believes in a free and fair America. I'm the county attorney, and we have, over the past 4 years, thanks to the help of our fantastic members of the Commissioners Court, done all we can to fight Greg Abbott, Ken Paxton, in court every single time. I'm here today to fight. And if there is a legal case to fight, we'll be doing that as well. If there's an opportunity to partner with another organization that's going to have a better chance in court, we're going to do that. We will do every single thing we can to stand up to Greg Abbott. I want to be clear. Regardless of how Greg Abbott treats us, regardless of what he says to us, regardless of the actions that he takes, he does not give to stand up and fight back. Yeah. So my request to all of you, my demand, I'm out here in a whole ass suit sweating because I believe this so much. My request, my demand, don't let Greg Abbott strip away any rights from anybody in our community. If it's you today, it'll be us tomorrow. So let's take this fight to Abbott, let's protect this community, and let's make sure that we're not celebrating relics of people who passed 200 years ago while forcing folks who are living today in their truth to be silent. Thank you.
Thank you. There you go, you got the pop going now. Next, another fighter who has been on the front lines in many, many different respects, but now also at the city, Controller Chris Hollins.
Good morning. I want to thank all my colleagues who are present, all of you leaders from the community who are here. But I also want to thank members of the media for being present and making sure that this story is out there. I wish so many cameras were here when we were talking about the state of the city's finances. But, you know, we're glad to have you here today. Seriously, you uplift so many stories that otherwise would not be heard, that our community wouldn't be exposed to. And so you telling the story is incredibly important. Look, this crosswalk that's behind us, we know that this is not a safety issue. We know that this intersection is safer because of the presence of this crosswalk. And we know that this community is safer when we celebrate that everyone is welcome here in Houston, period. Now let me talk from my seat as a controller. Painting over this would be a waste of goddamn money. Yep. Plain and simple. This was just repaired very recently, right? And so when we hear these trumped up arguments, right, that we're wasting somebody's funds on this, this would be an absolute waste of money to pursue. Now, my colleagues have talked directly to Governor Abbott, et cetera. I want to talk to my former colleagues at Metro, because we could be standing here to fight back against Greg Abbott, but the truth is that I'm standing here because I saw that Metro was looking to capitulate, right? And so that's why I'm here. It was the honor of my lifetime to serve as a board member at Metro. And I trust that my colleagues there are still working hard to improve transit and safety for the people of the city of Houston. But on this issue, you cannot bow down, because this isn't about one intersection at one corner of this city. This is about the idea that a president, that a governor, that someone is about the idea that someone outside of this city can tell us that we cannot empower our residents, that we can other a group that they have identified as enemies. And we will not do that. We will not bow down. We should not bow down. And we should absolutely not pay for the duty of bowing down to President Trump or Governor Abbott. And so to Metro, I'm looking at you. We know that Metro is majority appointed by the city of Houston. I'm standing here with the council member from this district, as well as Councilmember Castillo, who cares deeply about this. Metro, you answer to the city. And so my question is, who gave the green light for this capitulation to begin with? I know that Houston does not stand for this, period. And so we need to be having conversations at the council table about where we're going with this. We know that this community has stood up before, fighting Greg Abbott on voting rights, fighting about other issues related to equality and equity and investment in the future of this city. And we can and we should fight again. Now, the last thing I'll say is this. And colleagues have said it before, so this isn't anything profound. But this is only a first instance of coming after a community that has otherwise been discriminated against, that has otherwise, in some instances, been forgotten. And it would be easiest for us to say, this is just one corner, this is one small group of people that may not apply to me, to my family. But we know that when our rights are trampled, that they're going to come after you next. We know that when we bow down to a bully, and it's already been demonstrated across this country and across the globe, that when you give 1 inch, that they're going to try to take a mile, and they're going to pick a bigger fight and come back for additional rights after that. And who knows what the future holds if we don't stand up in this moment. And so it's not about this corner. It's not about this particular crosswalk. It is about all the rights that we hold near and dear as Americans. It's about the rights that we should have as Texans and as Houstonians towards self-determination and deciding the future of this city together. I know that my colleagues up here agree, but I'll also finish on this, that we are not standing up here because we're nice people. We're standing up here because as elected officials, we have a responsibility to stand up for the people who elected us, to fight for their rights, to protect this city. That's what we're doing. For those who are not here, make sure that you know where they stand on this issue too. That's right. Because we should all be united in this, not for just this corner, not for one community, but for all of Houston and Harris County together. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. All right. I had a note for closing remarks, but as is important, again, because this isn't just about this district, I think it's important to quickly, I'll emphasize the quickly because it's getting very hot, from our other electeds that represent all across this city, all across this county. Before we do, when Brad came up, it reminded me, our LGBTQIA+ orgs that are on the ground want to make sure it's clear that they are also here for the community. So for the media, I want to emphasize that, again, for someone looking from the outside, they're saying, well, this is just paint, but this is so much more. And this is taking a real toll on residents in this neighborhood and on our LGBTQIA+ community. We are hearing from them. So please, if you need help and support, reach out to your local organizations. And I want to thank Montrose Center as one of the leads in providing mental health support services during times like this. With that, Representative Lauren Ashley Simmons, who was voted most freshman of the year in the State House. We are so proud of you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm State Representative Lauren Ashley Simmons. I represent House District 146. And yeah, I want to talk about a bully. We talk about bullies as people who are strong and tough, who are pushing us around, but Greg Abbott is a coward more than anything. And I don't think anybody knows better than the people who have to serve in the Texas legislature as Democrats, who are holding the line and fighting against tyranny and violence. And what we're seeing right now, it isn't just about paint. It's about our ability to exist in public. As a black woman, as a black queer woman, as an elected official, I have a duty to stand up for my community, but I also have a duty to stand up for myself, to fight for myself, because I have a right to exist. Senator Cook and I have seen over and over as queer legislators in the Texas House, the distraction that is used to target our communities is to inflict violence and harm on us, absolutely, but it's also meant to divide and distract Texans, because we have been suffering under 30 years of failed leadership. Our state is not affordable. Our children are not safe. People do not have the right to exist. Thank you.
Next, we also have State Senator Molly Cook, who represents this area and has been an incredible voice for our communities.
Thank y'all so much. I just want to make a couple of points. TxDOT ought to keep its eyes on its own paper, because as an agency, it is by far one of the most lethal in this state. And they are so woefully inadequate at building safe infrastructure that we have not had one day without a death on TxDOT roads since November of over 20 years ago. So let's focus on what really matters and stop killing Texans on TxDOT roads. The governor needs to keep his eyes on his own paper as well. Houston is the highest rate of poverty in the state. We have the deadliest jail. We have the deadliest roads. The vast majority of this is because of state policy and state mandates strangling our ability to govern our city.
Right.
And we know where the power on what happens here at this intersection. And if I were a contractor, and say, we don't bend the knee. We do not bend the knee to tyrants. And we are Houston. We are queer. We love ourselves for it. It's fun to be out. It's fun to be queer in Houston. And if they do pick up this sidewalk, you'll have a promise from me that I'm going to work every single day until the day we gather right back here and paint it back. Thank y'all so much.
All right. So, can you tell we're fired up? Next, it's my pleasure to have Representative Christina Morales, another fighter.
Yes, I'll be very quick too. Listen, my colleagues and I know all too well that we have to stand up to Governor Abbott and how he just bends the knee to the felon in the White House. We broke quorum because we saw it firsthand, and now we're seeing it right here on our streets. While Houstonians are suffering with the high cost of living, Groceries are high. People can't afford to pay their rent. They're being mortgaged out of their homes. And his main concern is paint on the street. Listen, we are a resilient community. We know that, right? And we're going to fight back. And we're going to remember next year in the midterms when it's time to vote, because Governor Abbott, you may be able to cover our rainbows on our streets, but you cannot cover our pride. We stand with the gay community, and glad to be here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, Representative. And I probably should have called him up first because he's in the heaviest jacket of anyone here.
No, stay with me. Stay right here. So I'm John Rosenthal, House District 135, and I only want to say this. I want to sum up what all these people are saying and paraphrase a very famous little poem from the 1940s, right? First, they came for the queer folks. But this group here assembled and said, hell no, we're not going back. And hell no, we're not going to let them come for any marginalized or attacked community. We're going to stand together and make sure that we fight against this kind of tyranny. Because like everyone up here has said, it's not just the gay and queer folks are coming after. We are all on the chopping block next, and that's why we have to stand together.
Thank you, Representative.
John Rosenthal running for Railroad Commissioner. Thank you.
That too.
And last but not least, I'm calling back Commissioner Briones. To translate in Spanish, you are such a bold voice in our Hispanic and Latino community, and I think it's important that this message is also reaching everyone, because again, we know that even in our immigrant community, they're coming for them, and again, we are going to say hell no. Thank you.
Buenos días, soy Lesley Briones, la comisionada del Condado Jerez, Precinto 4. Primeramente, gracias a la concejal Abbie Kamin por recibirnos hoy y todos estos aliados que están aquí luchando por la comunidad y todos los líderes de la comunidad que están aquí juntos, unidos, luchando por la justicia. Hoy me encuentro aquí, como orgullosamente latina. Sabemos que están atacando a todas nuestras comunidades y estamos aquí en el primer cruce peatonal del orgullo de Texas como una aliada y defensora. Esto es más que un cruce peatonal, es un homenaje pero también simboliza calles más seguras y accesibles para todos y representa un poderoso mensaje de inclusión amenazan con retener fondos